Good morning and welcome to My Left Ear. I'm Carrie Freeman. My co-host, Petey, may show up any minute. He usually comes up here and sits. This is a liberal YouTube channel. We are focused for the next 40 days or so. I might be off a digit, might be 41 days. I think it's 40. We're all about getting Kamala Harris and Tim Walz elected. That's what this is about. This is video 226 and it's September 28th. And it always helps if you would subscribe and like. It helps all of us, you know that. So I'm going to start with some good news that this was on September 22nd, but Kamala Harris raised $27 million in one day from one single event in New York City. I know it's mind-blowing, isn't it? This is the largest fundraising sum from a single event since Kamala Harris became the nominee. And then I added, let's go. Okay, that's what I added. Let's go. Hey, Petey, are you around here? You want to join us? So I'm gonna start right off with runes, because one of the subscribers asked me, and I forgot to add it to the last video, will the Senate and House representatives, the insurrectionists, specifically the Republican, here he is, insurrectionists, be indicted? Because I think people are losing hope. Come here, boy. He's right by me. He's thinking about what he's doing. No, you can't. All right, can you walk over here? He's gonna walk right in front of you because he doesn't understand. All right, you lay down now. Will they be indicted? Now, I have felt all along, my left ear, because those of you who know me know that aside from doing the runes, I get information through my left ear. I get information, and it's often very correct. That I have always felt that they will be held accountable, but not until late, not early in the game, because I recognize that Jack Smith has big fish to fry. Not that this isn't important, this is very important. He's also, you know, before Jack Smith became well known, I had read up on him and found out that he's got issues about ethics, okay? He's an ethics person, and he would never walk away from this, allowing all these criminal senators and congressmen, congresswomen to get away with this. So I did some runes, and here's what's interesting. Jack Smith turned in a 180 or 200 page filing today to Judge Chutkan, who's handling the January 6th violations. And she has to read it, they have to redact it a bit, and then Donald Trump's legal team has so many days, not many days at all, like 3 or 4 days, to respond. Now, nobody really knows what's in there yet, but I'm going to tell you, I really feel, my left ear really feels that a lot of these senators and congressmen are going to be mentioned in this. I actually think this filing is almost 200 pages now. Okay, amazing. And what's strange, and there's a lot to this that I'm not going to go into, that when Trump's team responds, they only have 45 pages to respond, and somehow that sort of seeped through the cracks, but that's kind of interesting. Anyway, I think these people are going to be mentioned next week, so I want you to know that. However, I asked the runes, will Senate and House insurrectionists be indicted or caught or whatever you want to? I just wrote indicted. So here's what's interesting. I got the rune called constraint. So I did what I did last time with these runes. I've been doing 3 runes, but if I get such an immediate answer. I don't need to do more runes. So this is true of this question. I got constraint. Now let me read you about constraint, and then I'll tell you about what happened. It's a rune of challenge to the self. And the book says we each have our own dark places that we have closed, where we resisted the benefit of fresh air and sunshine, which is interesting. The rune of constraint shines a light into those dark rooms. You like that? That light is going to be Jack Smith. Like, he's going to have a Klieg light on these people. Klieg lights are what they use for big events that are giant, that go into the sky and everything. So the rune of constraint shines a bright light into those dark rooms. So these people, it's coming. This is an opportunity for them to dispense that which binds them to their lesser selves. And they bound themselves to this toxic psychopath, Donald Trump. So when it appears in the rune, it's sure that you are going to be challenged on a very personal level. It says, rethink your plan and look within yourself. The constraint also works with the shadow self. And find out what in you is magnetizing misfortune. Well, they're not going to do that because they're not insightful people. They're not built like that. If they were insightful, they wouldn't be, have such allegiance to Donald Trump. So here's what's interesting. So here's the bag. You can hear the runes in here. And there's 25 of them. So that's a nice one. That's fertility. I think that's fertility. There's only 25 of them. So yeah, it's fertility. Anyway, so I reach in here. Once I choose the rune and I write it down, I put it back. And then I go to picking the second rune. So after I picked this constraint, and what happens is I feel a rune sticking to my fingers. And it tells me, no, I'm the one, I'm the one. So I wasn't feeling it, I went to the bottom of the bag, and guess what I pulled out? I pulled out constraint again. So that's very significant. So this is constraint on steroids. So the answer is, yeah, these people, it's going to catch up with these people. So I want you to know that. I'm going to see if I can get Petey in this. He just finds a way of, Pete, see, there he is. Say hello, Pete. I can't get him into the shot, so I apologize for that. But he's right here. Yeah, I can hear you. All right, so constraint. All right, now we're going to go on. This is just a mention that when I covered P. Diddy, I guess a week ago, I gave you a list of people, which has grown, of people that I thought were going to be seriously mentioned, implied. Some people will be called to testify. But I did mention Steveharvey on my list. And here's what's interesting. The day that they announced Diddy's indictment in New York, Steveharvey left the country. I'll repeat this. Steveharvey left the country on the day that Diddy was indicted. I didn't do runes on it. It's not necessary. I'm just sharing that with you. And there'll be more like that. So now here's a rune about Democrat Mayor Eric Adams. And I'm asking, will he end up resigning? So I had a similar experience with this rune. I got the rune of separation, okay? But the same thing happened. I got it twice. So that's quite a thing to have 25 stones in here. Oh, it's breaking. I have to fix it. 25 stones in here, and to pick the same one twice. That's what makes this mystical. So it says, now is the time of separating old paths. Old skins must be shed. outmoded relationships discarded. This is a rune of radical severance. That means I do not think he will resign on his own. I think he has a giant ego. I think he's a typical narcissist, and he likes this power that he attained being mayor. So this is a rune of radical severance. This is not going to go to his benefit. And there's a peeling away that's called for. So there must be a willingness to give up some aspect of his behavior. I would say that's too late. The appropriate action is submission and possibly retreat, because there is something he must give up. And he might be asked to abandon some aspect of himself, his behavior. And that would be like blind ambition and desire for great power. And it says, are you attached to your position in society? That's what it asks. Yes, he's attached to his position in society. Andrew Weissman, who we see on MSNBC all the time, who worked with the FBI, you know, he's an illustrious attorney. He said that it is a little tricky to prove Eric Adams' intent. I kind of don't think so, and this is the reason. By the time they get to seizing phones, searching homes, and setting up the indictment, they're pretty confident. So I don't think it's going to be, I think there's going to be proof of his intent all over the place, all right? Now, it's possible that Governor Hochul may intervene and make him step down for the sake of New York City, because the feeling is he's not going to be able to run. A lot of his people have resigned. You know, he had put his cronies in place to aid him with his scheme, I guess. You know, he's not guilty yet, but he's looking really bad. So she might intervene and say, look, you might be innocent, but we've got to get our city up and running. We need a staff, we need a mayor. So that could happen. Now, I'm going to go back to something here, and it actually has to do with Ben Affleck and J.Lo and their divorce, rumored divorce. Nobody knows what they're doing, because there's this divorce and then they're seen together and blah, blah, blah. But there is a question, and I want to weigh in on this question. Now that Diddy has been indicted, and J.Lo had such a big history with him, even with a whole situation with a gun and a shooting in a New York club, that she knows a lot. Now her name is emerging as someone who always knew about these freak-on parties or freak-off parties. I can never remember. It's freak-on, freak-off. And so her name is becoming very big, surrounding this giant thing, like Rico kind of a thing with P. Diddy. And there is a rumor that the FBI, because Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez got married with no prenup, all right? I don't know how people with that kind of money do that, but no prenup. So if anything happened to her, like she got apprehended and a legal husband might end up being responsible for some of her losses, whatever. And there is a rumor that Ben was notified that this is coming for her, and he might want to think about getting out of the marriage. And I think that's, my left ear thinks that is the source of him filing for divorce. And maybe the reason we're seeing them together, because there may be still feelings involved, but it's something he had to do to protect himself legally, because who knows what would hit him. So I did ask the runes about this, and I got the rune of opening in the reversed position, meaning not opening, okay? And it says, expect a darkening of the light in some situation or relationship. Friendship might be dying, a partnership, or a marriage. Well, that would be true, wouldn't it? Or even some aspect of herself that is no longer appropriate to the person that she is now. It's like a death over a way of life that's no longer valid. And it makes me think that she could really take a tumble in the months to come. So it says, in order to accept new opportunity, it's vital to face up to all of this consciously. Give up the old and live for time in some emptiness. Well, then I picked a second rune, and I got the rune of joy. And I didn't get it reversed, I got it upright, joy. And what immediately came to me is that B.Affleck is happier. He may still have feelings. They may still be flirting and cuddling and canoodling, but he's happier. He feels released. So we wait and we watch, but I think that's really the source of why he filed, to protect himself. And other people may have come in and said, you got to do something. She's in trouble. You can't be implied. You can't be responsible for her bills or people coming after her, the IRS or whatever. So we wait and we watch. I'm finding that subscribers or people that watch sort of enjoy a little bit of pop culture. So I'm throwing it in here a little bit. And I asked, because I have a feeling that he won't, that I asked, will P. Diddy be alive in 4 years? Because I am not, personally, I'm not sure he's going to be around. So I got two runes. That's my neighbors pounding on the wall. They must be hanging something if you hear it. 2 runes in reverse position, which is interesting. So I got the rune of journey. Journey is great because journey is going on a journey, but this is reversed, okay? Puts you on notice to be attentive to personal relationships, Diddy. At this time, ruptures may be likely more than reconciliations. I would say so. There's ruptures everywhere right now, considering this Diddy situation. It's explosive. And it says, with the journey reversed, the requirements for your growth may totally disrupt what you had intended. That would be true. And desired outcomes may elude you. He's in trouble. And then the second rune in reverse is separation. And it says, this is not the time to be bound by old conditioning or old authority. And that would be, you got to change your ways, Diddy. Consider not only what will benefit you, but will benefit others. Total honesty is required. He's not going to be totally honest. He's got that thing that these giant narcissists have where they haven't done anything wrong. It's not their fault. And he's another one. They're all over the place. Oh my God, this pounding. Jeez, it's not even that. Okay. Total honesty is required. He can't do that. For him to take a radical departure from his old ways. I think it's too late, my friends. But this is a caution, through negligence or refusal to see clearly, you may cause pain to others and damage to yourself. And that's happening right now. It just doesn't look good for him. So this is, I'm going to Good Evidence in the quote because I have to go to a body shop and I made an appointment and something happened last night when I was pulling out of a parking spot that kind of pulled my front fender off my car. So I got home, but now I got to go to a body shop. So that's the reason I'm cutting it a little bit short, but it's good to see you no matter what. Now I'm going right to Good Evidence. And this is from Bill Palmer, who I've introduced you to, mentioned a bunch of times. And he wrote, this is from his blog on Twitter, he's not, you know, he doesn't predict like I do and tarot readers do, but he does predict. He predicts from this political, logical, legal standpoint that there's new evidence against Trump in his criminal plot to overthrow the 2020 election, and it will surface in just a few weeks before the actual election on November 5th. So, you know, I think we've all felt, I know I have, like there's just another explosion coming. There's another event coming. And I think he might be referring to what's going to come out of the 200-page, I don't know what you want to call it, filing that Jack Smith is doing. But that feels really hopeful to me. So it's not over till it's over, but there's just more, aside from the fact that I'm not covering this today, but Trump is actually sounding cray, C-R-A-Y, in all caps. He's been sounding cray. And it's almost like he's on some self-destructive mission, but I think it's part dementia, part his rage, and he feels himself slipping away. He can't get the crowds. I saw a video this morning of people piling out of his latest rally, and the feeling is that they were paid by Venmo to attend, and they sat down and they went, oh no, we're not gonna listen to this. And I mean, there were lots of them. I don't know where it was though. I can't tell you where it was, but I saw this this video. And I share one more thing with you. I can't go into detail, but it has nothing to do with politics. It's just so heartwarming. A 10-year-old basset hound ran away from her neglectful home, and she ended up saving a bunch of other animals. They renamed her Hero, but she escaped wearing an ID tag that led animal control to find her, and she was in a house with 38 animals in very bad shape. So it sparked a rescue effort that saved 36 dogs, a chicken, and a cat from suffering. This happened in North Carolina. They were taken to, most of them were taken to a shelter, to the vet. She was renamed Hero, and she got adopted. She got adopted. And I don't want to go into detail, but the conditions were horrible that they found these animals. But the animals are getting medical help, and they're starting to get adopted, and people are stepping in to help. So members of the community pitched in to help cover medical and other expenses for the rescued animals, and Hero is a hero. It's just such a nice story. And I happen to love basset hounds. They're kind of smelly, but I love them. And now here's a quote that's somewhat amusing, and maybe you'll relate to it. It says, I've been procrastinating a bit, and as a result, I am thinking about how much I'm procrastinating. You like that? I am thinking about how much I am procrastinating. Mildly humorous. I wrote that. Okay, that's my quote. I thought it was pretty clever. I wrote it to somebody and they laughed. So I said, okay, if they laughed, then I'm gonna share it with my people. I will be back. There's much more to talk about. We're coming into like that stretch, and we have this debate between Tim Walz and J.D. Vance. I think Tim is just gonna bury J.D. Walz, because Tim has something that J.D. doesn't have. He, well, first of all, he has a lot of personal appeal and warmth, and he just radiates honesty, but he has a sense of humor. And nothing can beat a sense of humor, and J.D. has none. None. So we'll see how that goes. And like Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'll be back, but I got to get to the body shop. So have a good weekend, and we'll continue. There's much more going on. And I say, make peace, make good memories, and be kind. Bye-bye.